who's coming in as the big potential carry for ROCCAT, and that's why Copenhagen Wolves just banned him out completely. And we saw the same thing happen last week. Teams just banned out Nukeduck, Kassadin, Zed, whatever it was, every single game. Kassadin as well now from Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, Kassadin's actually been banned quite a lot by ROCCAT themselves, and it's a bit weird when you consider the fact that
Lissandra here.
Yep, he's had quite a big performance on that first pick, Lissandra. It is open.
It is open, and again, when there's so many mid lane bans, suddenly Lissandra, because she's a flex pick, her value goes up a lot, as you can put her in the mid lane. And also Copenhagen Wolves showed actually quite a strong Lissandra from YoungBuck last week against Fnatic. So I really feel like that was the go-to pick. It does mean, however, Copenhagen Wolves can get Jarvan if they want to in the jungle, and obviously Ahri already been locked in. Slightly nerfed here in 5.3. Mana changes, a bit less range on a W and an ulti, but still a very, very strong pick. It
is indeed. Now, that being said, Soren hasn't had much success on it, but he hasn't really had to rely on this pick in general. There have been a lot of other strong things available for him now as Cassiopeia was taken away. And of course, they banned Castor themselves. We'll see if he can find a little different type of success here as the timer ticks down. We'll see what Copenhagen Wolves take next.
And again, Airwaks, he played Jarvan last week, and he was actually really, really good on it. He invaded onto Rainover multiple times, and also in teamfights itself. Once Copenhagen Wolves really found out how to play against Fnatic, it was Airwaks on this Jarvan here, always starting the fight. So I feel like that's probably the best jungle pick for him, and also why Copenhagen Wolves can be happy enough trading away Lissandra for the Jarvan and the Ahri.
Yeah, ROCCAT are going to know what they want to do here. They answer back very quickly with the Morgana and the Corki lock-in. Now, we'd normally say that's guaranteed to be a Morgana support, but they have the Lissandra flex pick. We saw some really crazy top Morgana performance, particularly out of Cabochard last week, and we'll see if maybe that translates today. But the Copenhagen Wolves are back to the pick rotation.
Yeah, it really is tough for you when the enemy team is picking so many flex picks. Because, yeah, you might try and find a counter for, let's say, the Lissandra in the top lane. Suddenly they just take a third pick or maybe swap the Morgana up there because you can play support mid and top lane. So there's a lot of options here for ROCCAT. Only thing they are showing is a lot of magic damage already coming in. If you run double AP with a Corki, that's like 2.5 basically who just magic damage, because we consider Corki half and half here in terms of physicals. So the Copenhagen Wolves now can actually say, for their last pick, if they want to, pick like a tank, get it like a Maokai, stack him up, get a Mundo maybe even, and suddenly ROCCAT won't be able to kill him late game.
Yeah, that may very well be the plan, but for now, Freeze has gone ahead and taken his other signature pick. That is, of course, the Draven. And the Lulu locked in, another flex pick in this case, although I do think this would pair quite nicely with the Draven in the bot lane.
Yeah, very aggressive lane, at least early on. Even though Freeze, actually, he doesn't like to play aggressive on Draven in the laning phase. He prefers to just sit back and farm, stack up his passive, go back on 1,550 gold to get his BF sword, and then he's looking for the kills. So in that case, the Lulu won't really add too much other than just some lane pressure, but it's obviously there as well to make sure Freeze can play all in these fights with the wild growth. You also have the combo with the Jarvan here for some extra CC when you engage in.
Deficio, we got double AD carry. Okay. There is an Ezreal lock-in. We, of course, also will get to see jungle Nidalee again, this time for Jankos.
So that's a very, very nice mix here from ROCCAT now. A lot of magic damage, and then again the double AD with the Ezreal in the mid lane. A pick we have seen quite a lot in Korea. Other regions we started to pick it up. Now, finally in Europe, we get to see Ezreal mid. He's not going to win the laning phase against an Ahri, but he can sit back and farm very safely, and then he can just aim to get towards the Trinity Force, the Mana Immune. Then suddenly ROCCAT here has a very, very good mid-game siege comp with the Nidalee, with the Corki, with the Ezreal, which means for Copenhagen Wolves, if they fall behind the laning phase and can't engage with, again, the Airwaks and maybe the tank we talked about for YoungBuck, suddenly ROCCAT can just take down outer turrets very, very easily. And we can obviously talk more about the double AD in the game itself and how you should play it.
Well, we said ROCCAT we're going to have to mix it up just a little bit, and this does look like the comfort. So far, very different pick ban phase than what we saw last week, as it looks like Unlimited will be locking in the Maokai for YoungBuck. That one is finished up. So, looking at these comps, we talked about ROCCAT, we talked about what they want to do. What do the Wolves want to do with what they've built?
Well, Copenhagen Wolves here in terms of late game, because you have the double tank front line against double AD carries, none of them can take down a tank. Lissandra as well, she's going to dive the back line. So Copenhagen Wolves here, if they go full late game in terms of if they actually manage to make it to late game with these two tanks, they're going to win team fights easily. And for them, honestly, it's going to be so much about making sure you don't fall behind the laning phase and then be able to flank on ROCCAT. If they want to group in the mid-game points of the game with their siege comp here, or the poke comp, then Copenhagen Wolves need to have wards behind them so you can teleport in for YoungBuck. You can come in with Airwaks here. So pink wards are going to be very, very important. Make sure you don't get poked out force the fights with your double tanks, and then you're actually going to be just fine for Copenhagen Wolves side.
Well, trends historically have indicated that we do have those very, very long games when either of these teams win, and one of them definitely has to. So we'll see how that does go down as the coaches shake hands and walk off the stage. So very excited to see how this one does end up shaking out. I want to see if ROCCAT can maybe mix it up a little bit, do that early aggression. Jankos get back to the first blood king status that he was once known for.
He's on Nidalee, so
yeah,
if he wants an aggressive jungler, there you go.
Well, why don't you guys tell us what you think and if this is the point for ROCCAT to start turning it around or not by tweeting hashtag ROC win or CW win to @LOL Esports. We'll check out those results in game. But for now, the crowd is hyped. The cheer goes up. And our first game of week 5, Copenhagen Wolves versus ROCCAT, starting now.
And this is going to be such an important game for ROCCAT. They lost 2 games last week, actually against H2K and Unicorns of Love. The 2 teams around them in the standings where we were saying, okay, now they're fighting to become one of the top teams. ROCCAT lost both. Now Copenhagen Wolves suddenly is actually sneaking up ahead of ROCCAT in the standings, which means if Copenhagen Wolves manage to win here, they just push them even further down. And nobody before this season had started would expect ROCCAT to be in the bottom half of the standings.
No, indeed. Least of all, ROCCAT themselves. They'll see if they can change that one here. Jankos going to go for a little bit of early maneuvers around. He's not going to find anything there, though.
So I just want to talk a little bit about this double AD and how there are many different ways you can play it. When you have Corki and Ezreal, you want to really hit that 15-minute spike with Trinity Force, so Ezreal can go back, get a tier, and then he goes Trinity Force instead of getting Mana Moon first. And you meet up with the 280 carries, and you start again poking away. You get the mid turret, and you simply open up the map. But also when you do play double AD, you have to keep your jungler and your wards on your strong side of the map. That's where your dual lane is going to be. So let's say we have Woolite and Vander on the top side. Well, then suddenly you need Jankos to be on the top side of the map. So he can always help them make sure, if in case they do get ganked, he's there to counter gank. So they're always safe and can always push their lanes, because you gotta take down these outer turrets early on. That's how you play double AD. If you just sit back and wait, then you're gonna get outscaled, especially against the Maokai Jarvan combination.
Well, they're certainly going to get spotted at the very least. That's Copenhagen Wolves at least going to get spotted, attempting to do the lane swapperoo. ROCCAT had that ward down. They're going to send Woolite up to the top as was planned. So ROCCAT already trying to possibly get a pick out here early, but nobody's really making moves through this jungle on the side of the Copenhagen Wolves.
Now, Copenhagen Wolves gave up the jungle long ago when they saw ROCCAT invade in and get all these deep wards for the information. Overpow is going to get level 2 from this, then he can recall. And again, you see how Jankos already putting focus on the top side of the map. That's where the ROCCAT dual lane has gone to. He might even be able to get 3 buffs if the Wolves doesn't actually expect him to take this red buff, which Vander got.
Yeah, that is not typically who you want to give it to, but still better than, I suppose, letting the enemy jungler take a bite out of it. Freeze and Limited have now moved up to the top side. Woolite going to be here by his lonesome for a moment.
Yeah, so Copenhagen Wolves managed to get a camp at level 1. ROCCAT didn't, except for obviously Vander with this red buff, meaning Copenhagen Wolves are going to hit level 2 before and can actually start pushing up. So ROCCAT here going to have a bit of a tough time early on in the laning phase. Going to have to wait for this big wave to come all the way down to their turret before they really can start picking up any farm. Don't want to trade with a level 2 Draven and Lulu.
Certainly don't want to. They completed those Krugs early to make it happen. Now, seeing his red buff gun, Airwaks moves over down to the bottom side. Going to grab that one for himself. Nobody really there to contest him either. This should be a nice trade. Meanwhile, Jankos grabs himself a blue. I really want to see where Jankos does make his first move, because he really, really needs to try and push back on some of these lanes, because all of his laners are getting pushed against.
They are right now, but for Jankos in this game, he doesn't necessarily need to gank. It's more about him sitting in the jungle of Airwaks and actually finding him, dueling him. Let's see what happens here. Overpow, slight trouble.
Yep, could be just a little bit. Burns his flash to avoid the flag and drag, as YoungBuck will walk it out after that.
So that was actually sloppy play by Overpow. He had a ward. He actually had 2 wards ready, one in his inventory and also the trinket ward. And he should have expected Airwaks to be on the bottom side of the map, seeing as they took the red buff away from him. And yet he actually didn't place anything, ends up overextending and forced to flash away. Meaning that we can see Airwaks just return to this bottom lane exactly like he did against Fnatic last week. It was all about YoungBuck and Airwaks together, chaining ganks, applying a lot of pressure, and also getting early kills actually.
Jankos is making his move towards Soren. He's going to dodge the spear out just fine. Foxfire to push him back. Nukeduck tries to land a couple of missing shots of his own. Can't quite connect.
No, and again, for ROCCAT, really want to see how they want to use the double AD if they Gonna go for this mid-game power spike or not. And if Jankos actually feels like he can invade on Airwaks despite the lanes being pushed down at the moment. That's obviously the problem. When you run like Nidalee with double AD, if your lanes are not pushing in, it becomes very risky because you can get collapsed on. And in this case here, after a very bad trade actually, Freeze
Yep.
flashing away.
Eats an exhaust on that one, has to back away. He got very, very aggressive early on, but he was caught up by the Dark Binding. Very predictable pathing with trying to catch the axes.
Yeah, and again, Unlimited, very low on mana on his own. Minions were also hitting Freeze, so not the best trade from the Copenhagen Wolves. And now we just go back to a bit of a farm situation for the bottom lane. ROCCAT managed to get back from that level 1 disadvantage.
There's no flash here for Overpow, though.
He's very far in, however.
Yeah, there's really not an easy way to dive. Airwaks not got the Cataclysm just yet. A few levels away from that.
So there are 2 reasons for Airwaks to be there on this bottom lane. One, he knows the lane is going to push slowly towards Copenhagen Wolves. So if he stays for a long time, actually now YoungBuck just played it out, then he could get a gank if he waited. Second thing is he's here for a potential counter gank. If Jankos goes down and try and gank the overextended Maokai, suddenly Airwaks is here to turn it around once Overpow goes in and has no flash.
We'll see if he does get so bold. He's got to know
Hang
something's
for a
up, though.
long
Yeah,
time.
he's not moving too far. Airwaks is wasting a lot of time, but there we go. There's the chance. Overpow's going to claw his way to safety, but it was close.
It was close. Overpow staying in the lane. He's waiting for his teleport to be ready, but Airwaks, after waiting for a while, realized, okay, this lane's not pushing fast enough. And now we see Jankos again, top side of the map, near the dual lane, making sure they can play very aggressive. Again, this is what you want to do. Have your bottom lane pushed up, get damage on this turret, and maybe even go for dive.
Yeah, they're going to. They're looking for Freeze. Stand aside, and he's pushed back. Another spear connects. Jankos, he's eyeballing it, but it's so far back to go. And they're going to settle for pushing the Wolves bot lane back from the top.
But very different here from ROCCAT. We normally don't see these early ganks from Jankos. We haven't seen them in a while, at least. Now, he's been in the mid lane, straight to the top lane, Freeze. Back to base. Yeah, a lot of damage on this turret now for ROCCAT. They want to get these outer turrets down as early as possible. So very, very nice start for them and their dual lane.
Yeah, and they also know when there's going to be potential roams happening. You saw Soren walking over the Nidalee trap right there. They were able to detect it. Jankos now, speaking of, is coming around the side. Lands everything on Soren, but not enough damage as Nukeduck hits another Mystic shot on the backside of that. Again, hard as a level 4 Nidalee to try and beat out a level 6 Ahri.
Especially when she jumps away from you, from Soren here. We see mid lane, it's just a farm lane. Ezreal doesn't really beat anything straight up in the laning phase, but he can farm safely in nearly every single matchup. So for Nukeduck, here's a good start. He want to go back and get that tier into a Trinity Force for himself. And then him and Woolite, hopefully after ROCCAT takes the top lane out of turret, and group in mid lane, take that one, and really open up again the top side of the map, and just keep pushing up on those.
Yes, the 0-0 score to start this game off might have been expected before this matchup, but there's been so many attempts, so many all-ins, and so much action on this map. It's kind of surprising and hasn't quite panned out that way yet. The Wolves finding themselves actually pushed in just a little bit in a couple places. Even out farm, except between the top laners. Overpow's kind of been held in check compared to YoungBuck, but there has been a lot of pressure by Airwaks down bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Airwaks really putting a lot of focus on YoungBuck's lane, like we saw last week, and I'm still surprised that Overpow didn't have a ward down early on, knowing that, again, they're taking the red buff from Copenhagen Wolves. So that was, again, just a little bit sloppy and really cost him a lot. So YoungBuck looking great, and it's really what Copenhagen Wolves... not going to happen.
That's close,
but
though.
It's really what Copenhagen Wolves want. They want their 2 tanks to do well early on, especially that Maokai. So you hit a point where the double AD can't even touch you, and you can just dive onto them every single team fight. And because they're so squishy, well, they will die in a prolonged team fight. Oh, well, sorry, they will die to the burst, sorry, from Copenhagen Wolves coming in.
Yeah, correct. So Jankos is going to steal away that red buff as well. Vander here is going to nearly get the Dark Binding, but Freeze is able to dodge away from it just fine. But here is Jankos, biding his time while he's hanging out on the Krugs.
Doing exactly the same again. We talked about at level 1, how the jungler want to be on the side of the map where the dual lane is, constantly making sure you can push it in, get some damage, turret close to 50%. He's just landing a few spears. On the standard AP route we have seen from every single Nidalee player here in Europe. Actually, except for Airwaks, who went for Frozen Heart. And then he said on Twitter, that was probably the worst build he could have gone for. So not going to see that again.
Well, you live and learn. Airwaks himself is going to be pushing in on this side of the jungle, taking himself the Raptor camps. Overpow still getting pushed back a little bit by YoungBuck, down about 20 CS. Tries to go a little forward to grab some himself, but YoungBuck just proves to be too tough. and he has to Glacial Path his way out.
Yeah, not an easy lane for Overpow here. Couldn't get an early push going. And now YoungBuck is controlling it. And because we got potential recall from Overpow,
we stopped it.
That's it's gonna get help from YoungBuck now. So basically just because YoungBuck had that nice trade with Overpow, Overpow's not too late to fight. It actually opens up for a Dragon to the Copenhagen Wolves. Jankos is still on the top side, so no response from ROCCAT.
Yep, not going to be possible. Takes a little while, but they do smite it down at 9 minutes 45 into the game. Copenhagen Wolves pick up the first Dragon.
Look at YoungBuck here. Oh, sorry, not YoungBuck, Nukeduck. Actually didn't go back for an early tier. Instead, he saved up enough money just to get straight mana immune. So delaying his tier, stacking a little bit, but then getting that mana immune for a bit more power after his first back. 24 should follow next from him. And then again, group up with Woolite.
Yep. Speaking of Woolite, he's taking quite a lot of axes. Freeze is going to pick one of those ones up. Not the best trade when the support is away. Vander is off assisting Jankos for the time being. Woolite will be able to get a little bit farm back at least.
Yeah, Vander roaming. A little bit surprising moment. Dragon is already gone. Copenhagen Wolves picked it up beforehand. And not really any lanes where Vander can do anything. Overpow is just farming on his own one-on-one. And it actually meant that Woolite had a bad trade in this top side. Lost a little bit of pressure. Now Vander's going to return there. So he actually just went back to buy a ward. Place it around this mid lane. Not really the best roam.
Soren has done this a couple of times, tried to gun up, but he changes his mind about halfway through. I think he realizes he'd been spot out. ROCCAT was pinging him all the way through. As the vision denial game comes into full effect, Overpow's going to find that pink ward in that brush, but YoungBuck's also there. Airwaks throws down the flag, finds Jankos and Vander. Gotta be careful, he's able to sidestep one of those soul shackles on. They really want to find it, but there's a teleport coming in now for YoungBuck. Here comes Soren. Vander is all by his lonesome, but Airwaks already low Cataclysm, and there's first blood. It goes to Airwaks, but they're not done yet. Nukeduck having to flash the wall.
So I'm happy to see ROCCAT actually try and make some plays early on, but that was a very, very strange one. Woolite was in base, he was running back to the top lane, and Vander was kind of on his own. Well, Jankos was nearby to help him, but that was way too easy for Copenhagen Wolves to just collapse on him, kill him, take him mid-turret as well. You don't have to fight with double AD early. You want to push the lanes, you want to get down the out of turrets, not have your support randomly run into Vander here at the last minute, roaming first to the bottom side of the map, leaving Woolite on his own, and now picking a very bad fight. Means the Copenhagen Wolves gets a slight goal lead. Yeah. Maybe even more.
They might grab a little bit more from here. Jankos already a little bit low. They're focusing Airwaks, so they take him down, but Jankos follows, and Woolite eats the charm. Valks away to safety, or so it would seem.
That's
He's going down. Freeze cashes in on some stacks. Soren eyeballing Nukeduck. Do they have enough damage? The Dark Binding gonna connect on Unlimited. That's a double kill. You don't want to give that to Draven.
No, 450 gold for Freeze on the first kill here. He's looking very, very strong already on this Draven. Let's see it again. So Jankos doing the Grump, and Copenhagen Wolves, after taking mid-turret, went straight in here to ward up the jungle from ROCCAT. And then, again, they're just a numbers advantage. They pick the right fight. Soren with a nice charm here. Woolite trying to jump to help get some help from his teammates. Obviously not going to happen. But again, for ROCCAT, you don't have to fight with this double AD early. You just want a lane, push them in. And Copenhagen Wolves saying thank you very much. We're already looking much better now towards a potential late game.
Yeah,
Freeze has a BF sword and a Brutalize completed.
Try 900 gold extra. That's about how much Freeze is over Woolite right now. So yeah, really helping cash in those stacks. Turns that into some items immediately. Jankos and Overpow going to try to make something happen on this bottom side, but already you see Overpow having to back no mana, half his health. ROCCAT tried to make the early plays, but this time it just has not worked for them.
No, and now the worst thing for ROCCAT is they tried to make the plays, it backfired, so now you start doubting yourself again, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe we should just sit back and farm, and then suddenly you go back to your really passive mentality again. Airwaks, though, he wants Woolite.
Yeah, he's going to flash after he goes for the Valk, and just is able to walk it out, but not enough, as Airwaks, with the help of the Wild Growth and Freeze and Unlimited, just nuke him down.
Really like Airwaks on Jarvan here. He's so good early game. Nice setup here. Waiting for first the jump from the Corki. Then he slides in with EQ. And obviously jumps after the flash from Woolite. Another turret going over to Copenhagen Wolves. If you fall behind as double AD, there's barely anything you can do because you're so squishy. So the enemy team can always engage onto you. And you can never really use your sieging potential because you're never going to get close to the enemy turret without just straight up dying. So Copenhagen Wolves off to a perfect start, and ROCCAT, some really, really sloppy team fights.
Yeah, they keep trying to grab a little bit back out of the enemy jungle, and Jankos has been able to do that, credit to him. But he hasn't been effective at trying to hunt down targets, and even though Nukeduck's now got a blue buff to himself, he had lost that tower in the mid lane. Copenhagen Wolves, they have the 2-to-1 advantage. They have the gold advantage. A lot of that is thanks to Freeze. Well, we'll see what they can do here. YoungBuck's getting targeted out immediately, moves on to Vander, and then flashes away. Narrowly avoids the Dark Binding, but that hitbox is just too big. There's just no follow-up.
No follow-up at all. YoungBuck just been actually happy farming, not been part of any kills. At this point, didn't really have to use. He used actually teleport in the mid lane beforehand, just came in a little bit too late. And otherwise, just come back out of the early Rod of Ages. Now, he's just looking to be as tanky as possible. You're going to have enough damage coming from this Draven with these early kills. Once Freeze gets his Infinity Edge, look for 2 or 3 hits and Woolite is dead.
Yeah, those start to hurt pretty badly. He's going to take a rocket from Woolite, but nothing doing there. They do back away from that one. Farm is fairly even there, but those 2 kills, man, once you start cashing in the adoration stacks, it does get out of control very quickly. Airwaks, however, is caught by the Dark Binding the Spear. He's going to flag and drag. They won't have enough damage to polish him off. And
also, Copenhagen Wolves just managed to really delay this mid-game spike from ROCCAT you would have on a Corki and Ezreal, which is one of the strong things about the double ADD composition. But that's completely gone already. No Trinity Force yet for Woolite, and if he actually starts the group, well, you know the Wolves are gonna engage now. Dragon for them as well, second of the game. Gonna get that 15% tower damage, which is not really relevant for them, but it's more again just denied from ROCCAT.
Yeah, quite easy to do. You could see it looked in theory like a dangerous dragon. There were so many members of ROCCAT nearby, but no one moved to stop it. No one felt confident enough to try to check into that. And as a result, so free.
So free again. Airwaks and YoungBuck staying on the bottom side. Look at the top lane. It's pushing down towards Overpow. So they know, okay, YoungBuck hasn't shown himself in the lane. We should expect him to be on the other side of the map, and they actually see him already here. Third out of turn for Copenhagen Wolves. Just a power play. Honestly, you see there Lissandra in the top lane, and you know by just going 5 or 4 members down to the bottom side, you already have the pressure through your stronger AD carry. That's a free turret. And now all outer turrets are gone here.
Yep. Superior rotations from the Wolves right now. As the towers go, ooh, okay. Overpow is able to say toodaloo to Soren, but still, they're able to push these waves back, and ROCCAT can't really do much in this situation. They're going to trade on a couple of ward shots, snipe down the crab, but there's not much else to fight over here for ROCCAT.
No, there really isn't. They should group, or will try to at least, and get some poke damage in, see if they can catch Copenhagen Wolves out of position. And they are going for Airwaks.
Yep, he is able to flag and drag. They do send out the Whirling Death from Freeze, try to deter ROCCAT from pushing on this one. They've not got the minion wave just yet, so they are going to back off for the time being, try to push in a little bit. But this buys enough time for Soren to make moves down to the mid lane.
Yeah, again, all ROCCAT has to do now, all they can do is keep Overpow in the same lane as YoungBuck and just have them farm against each other, don't fight. So you have your teleport play you can make. This is YoungBuck just goes straight for Overpow here, getting the jump on him.
Yeah, he knows he can. Overpow is going to have to pop the Frozen Tomb just to try to get away from this one. Remember, he already tried the Glacial Path, but he was interrupted.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do. You want to sit and farm in that lane, and then you want to slow push the other side lane while you have your 4 players, especially the Nidalee, oh sorry, the other 4 in the mid lane itself. Land a binding, you connect the spear after, or just have the very, very long range poke itself from your 280 carries coming in with the Nidalee, and that's how you gotta really connect one of those skill shots. Force Copenhagen Wolves to send a member back to his own base so you can take a turret. That's the only way for you to get some global gold. Otherwise, ROCCAT is just going to keep getting into these bad team fights 5-on-5 where the Copenhagen Wolves can always get the jump on them.
Well, ROCCAT now will be trying to defend this bottom side, but against these 3 members of the Wolves, even with the True Shot Barrage coming 4 now, with Airwaks here 5 with Soren all together, they brought the entire team. They find Vander with a lot of damage. Soren takes an exhaust, but meanwhile, they're still pecking away at this turret, about half health right now. And Nukeduck trying to force something to happen, but the Wolves, they have a fair amount of disengage here, and they have a big front line.
A massive front line in YoungBuck. Got quite some damage on the turret, now backing away. And all they do again is just buy more time. You get some damage on the tower, you get some farm, you get further and further into the game, and you make sure ROCCAT doesn't have a chance to actually group up. The top lane is pushing now for ROCCAT, so that's a great opening to go mid lane, push that one in, get that mid turret down right now. Again, Overpow is still sitting in the bottom lane, so they have to try and get it here. push this one in, force someone back or force someone to go defend the top lane, and that's your opening.
Certainly going to try to take advantage of it, but Freeze is still sitting there. He's going to be joined very shortly by Unlimited, and it looks like Soren. So even though ROCCAT trying to force the power play, this could get cleared out quite quickly. There's the Whirling Death. It's going to split between some of the minions, grabs a few of them, and ROCCAT, again, just have to back away.
Yeah, they really have to respect the Wolves when they come from the flank here. So there was some good wards placed by ROCCAT. That's another very important thing when you play such a squishy poke comp. Your flanks always has to be warded so you can see when the Maokai is coming, when the Jarvan is coming here, and you can back away in time. So that was basically all they could do. Get a few hits on that tower. Okay, you see Copenhagen Wolves moving 5 guys to mid lane. Just back away, do the same thing again. Have one side lane slow pushing, had one lane pushed by Overpow. And that's basically your way to go. And keep avoiding fights. Wards on the flanks. Every time you see Jarvan or Maokai, you back away.
They're certainly going to keep trying to do it, but they've still only got the 1 tower to their names. Copenhagen Wolves have knocked down all the 3 outers. Soren looking to add to that score with the help of Unlimited. Got a little wave here, but Woolite with the Trinity Force now completed, and of course his level 2 boots. He's going to be able to get there in time to stop it.
I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Ezreal delaying his Trinity Force that much by getting that mana immune instantly. I feel like just get a 6-minute tier into that Trinity Force is better when you have a Corki. But because Nukeduck saw how easy his lane was, basically, he decided just to farm up for that mana immune. So it's going to be better in the later stages of the game because you get it fully stacked earlier. But it's not about going late anyway for him. It's about what you can do between 15 and 25 minutes.
Yeah, Airwaks actually didn't even really worry too much about Overpow, who throws down the Frozen Tomb to really no effect. And they just seemed like they didn't know if they wanted to go in or not. This is still going to happen, though. Airwaks, they've caught Vander. He's going to get blown up. And Airwaks sends down the Cataclysm, dunking on no one as the True Shot Barrage comes in. YoungBuck, they move back. They look for Nukeduck. Soren takes a little bit of damage. They caught Overpow on a charm. And they will settle for the 1 for none so far.
And imagine if Overpow actually saved his ulti here, not wasted it completely on Airwaks for this fight itself. Copenhagen Wolves, again, they group as 5. They take 1 and push 1 lane down here. Let's see Unlimited. If he can stay alive, he will. Just running away. But again, the Copenhagen Wolves, they keep making sure that ROCCAT can just group and poke. They're the ones pushing up the lanes, getting into the turret here, not afraid to get in and hit the turret as well, and then take the fight after. So the Wolves, because they won this early game so hard, can just do whatever they want on this map. And that ulti again from Overpow was
that was
really weird.
Strange, to say the least. Didn't do nearly as much as he expected. A teleport now comes in. It's going to be spotted. ROCCAT are going to attempt to rush down this dragon. They just might have it, but it is a dangerous place to be when the Wolves are closing in. They're going to take it down. The Whirling Death comes in. It gets picked up by Jankos, and ROCCAT are bailing out, so a dangerous move secures them a dragon.
And again, Copenhagen Wolves now pushing straight down. They actually took a lot of poke damage and had to go back to base. That's why ROCCAT could rush this dragon here, so that was a nice play by them to avoiding the 3rd one for the Wolves and getting that 6% AP and AD. And that's Soren. He's in trouble.
Yeah, he could be. They do take him down, isolated from the team. And ROCCAT are able to pick that one up.
Only the 2nd kill of the game, though, for ROCCAT. Now we kind of reset the whole thing again. Get 1 kill. You now know the Copenhagen Wolves are going to go back to their own jungle, pick up a bit of farm, wait for Soren to respawn. So now ROCCAT has a bit of time to really think, what are we going to do? They want to go for YoungBuck.
Yeah, that looks like the decision so far. Woolite trying to shred down the tree. Vander taking a lot in the front. They've got the exhaust down. He does have his flash available. Not going to use it. He goes down. And Overpow gets the kill.
Yeah, now the game is getting a little bit sloppy here for both teams. Copenhagen Wolves first with Soren going in on his own. He got caught out. And then YoungBuck actually stayed very far out in his own lane here, not respecting the fact that ROCCAT could just walk down and kill him like they did. The rest of the Wolves were sitting either mid lane or top lane. So just some good kills for ROCCAT, really punishing the Wolves for being slightly too aggressive, we can say, and not really respecting what ROCCAT can do.
Yeah, you can't get... You're not so far ahead that you can just afford to get cut out to make mistakes like that. The Wolves were on a very, very powerful spike of their own, but they fell a bit back into bad habits in that situation. Punished a couple of times by ROCCAT. Still a decent gold lead. They've got a dragon ahead. They've got 2 turrets over them. But ROCCAT, they do thrive the longer the game goes on in a lot of situations. This comp, not necessarily, but the team as a whole seems to play better as the clock ticks up.
Try and see here what the Copenhagen Wolves have done. Again, we're on 5.3. There's some more changes to these trinket wards or trinkets you can have. Stealth Totem obviously can charge up to 2 now. Again, the Oracle Lens also slightly cheaper. So what they've actually done is very early on gone back, and everyone except for Freeze has upgraded his trinket. Something everyone in solo queue should do as well. It is cheap and is efficient. So 2 wards coming in from YoungBuck, a discount version of a Sightstone, and also a lot of vision denial now for the Copenhagen Wolves. First Oracle for Airwaks, next one can be popped now by Soren, and you can really completely take over, let's say around the Baron Pit. Everything is going to belong to you because you can clear all the wards placed by ROCCAT.
Ooh. ROCCAT themselves trying to push Copenhagen Wolves out of their own jungle. A lot of members of the Wolves hanging around that top side, just trying to starve Jankos and the rest of the team out of that area. Still, the mid tower stands strong. ROCCAT not pushing in just yet. Overpow's going to find Airwaks. And they're going to try to walk it out. Charm not going to connect as Woolite moves back, but he's caught in the Cataclysm. Whirling Death comes in. They're trying to target him on the back line, and they do. YoungBuck explodes him down. Airwaks staying alive as Soren tries to find Nukeduck, but all his skill shots are flying left and right. Freeze going to dodge the Dark Binding, go in for round number 2. Stand aside, won't hit.
And we see it again here, the Wolves, as long as they can get a flank to engage the fights, ROCCAT can't do anything but try and kite backwards over and over, land some long-range poke, and if someone does get low, suddenly then ROCCAT can turn it around. But before that, the Wolves can do whatever they want in these fights, and they've been using it. Another kill onto Woolite and delaying the push, because now actually Trinity Force is completed for Nukeduck. You have obviously Magus Enchant for the Nidalee coming in as well. Void Staff could be a very early item if you wanted to get somewhat of a poor man's build, but just get some power spike from Jankos. He's got it completed now. This is going to be pretty much the strongest point for ROCCAT, where they actually can use a mid-game spike, land some poke, and then you take objectives. But as long as the Wolves can keep getting the flank, it won't happen.
I'll see if they do that indeed. Freeze sidesteps away from the Mystic Shot. They're going to try to push down the middle once again. The bottom side is the barest, though, for Team ROCCAT, and Copenhagen Wolves not interested in pushing it right now. They want to show up their own defenses before they push out too far.
Yeah, the Wolves don't really have a reason to go bottom lane at this point. You can take the other 2 outer turrets in mid and top lane, and you get pressure on the Baron itself by just being on that side of the map. Because remember, again, for ROCCAT's side, you can never face check anything. You have to always play around the wards you have on the map, so you can see where Copenhagen Wolves is coming from. If they ever face check on a Baron, the Wolves are just going to engage straight onto them. So this is very, very smart of them to actually have the bottom lane as somewhat of a dead lane. Don't really care about that one. It's all about the mid and top lane and the Baron itself.
Also appears to be about that vision denial. Wolves keen on clearing that one out. They grab that pink ward dragon live in another minute, so they will try to keep control of the area. Airwaks walks right back in, try and clear that away, and he dodges the Dark Binding nicely too. Really have been sidestepping a lot of the skill shots this game on the side of the Copenhagen Wolves.
What you gotta do when there's 4 champions trying to hit you in the face with skill shots all game long. It's a pretty annoying comp to play against, unless you can always get the engagement. Notice a massive ward here on the new patch as well.
Oh yes, it's quite big.
Not even sure why, but it is.
You can see more of the ward, that is.
Again though here now, Wolves just moving down towards the dragon. Lost the last one, won't lose this one here. 20 seconds before it spawns. Same as around the Baron. As long as you have the vision control, the double AD composition can never face check you. They have to land the poke, and if they can't even see you, well, how they're gonna hit you.
Precisely. Trying to blind fire, see if that works out from so far. It hasn't. Here come the Wolves, though.
ROCCAT right now should just give up this dragon and go straight to the top lane where they have the wave already, but instead, Jankos being caught out.
Ouch. That's about all you
They
can
can still
say.
do it. They can still do it. They're going to top lane now. You know you're going to lose that dragon, so just give it up beforehand. Let Copenhagen Wolves take it, and meanwhile, you take the top lane turret, and then you recall because the bottom lane is pushing in as well, so you can't risk the Wolves pushing that one in. And I like this. If they manage to get the turret, that would be a win for ROCCAT.
They nearly do it. Yep, they'll be able to poke that one down. So they do trade that objective right there.
And now they have to recall.
They
the bottom lane is pushing.
Got the teleport out of YoungBuck.
Yeah, so the reason YoungBuck actually teleported was not to defend the turret, it's to stop the recalls. Notice how him and Soren are chasing, knowing that Copenhagen Wolves can take this massive wave and push it in on the next tower.
Yeah, the teleport being spent as well.
Woolite.
Woolite is going to get caught by Soren, and actually getting a lot of return fire in him, and he nearly goes down, but the Zanya's Hourglass and he's a golden boy.
And Copenhagen Wolves got the turret in the bottom lane, so they end up winning from it. But ROCCAT here did the only thing they could do, try and get a cross-map objective when you know you can't fight elsewhere. It worked in the start, but actually a very, very smart teleport and the move from Soren to stop the recalls so the Wolves can take a bot lane turret as well.
Yeah, Wolves have really been pressing their edge here. 3 dragons to 1. They've got that extra tower now on top of it. So even though they did give up the 1 in the top, that was about the best situation for them in that case, that they were able to grab more back for it. And when you talk about getting a inhibitor turret, I mean, that's huge because it opens up a lot of possibilities on the opposite side of Baron. It gives you quite a lot of map control here. And you said, sensing that Jankos is going to try to clear the crowd out, so they're not going to be blindsided by this.
So again, of course, Copenhagen was in the end 1 out from Dragon and a tower this far in, but they won't really have anything to go and take that inhibitor because Copenhagen was not looking to split push, they're looking to 5-on-5. So for now, again, that lane is considered dead for the Copenhagen Wolves. It's all about the top side of the map around this Baron. Already clearing out. Remember the 3 Oracle lenses very early on. And even Freeze upgraded the Scrying Orb.
Yeah, Vision game has really been Copenhagen Wolves trying to get in here and just deny as much as they possibly can. Not just the Oracle's lenses, but a number of pink wards, a small army, if you will. And Airwaks so tanky that he's able to just walk in there and face pretty much everything that they're throwing at him just to clear those out.
Yeah, the amount of wards you can place when you have double Sightstone and then the upgraded Trinket Totem as well is pretty insane for Copenhagen Wolves as long as they buy some, or will have an Oracle lens ready as well. Pink wards and then the Oracle lens is all they need to deny the vision, so there's so many options for them. Soren is going to push in this wave to try and force Overpow to come down defended as he has no teleport ready, which would suddenly open up the Baron, but now he needs to be careful.
Yep, they got the Frozen Tomb and they've got the CC lock. He's going to pop his Zhonya's for just a moment, but they take him down anyways. Still Shackles for the insurance on that one.
Poor Soren. All he wanted to do was just push in the wave and then back away from it. So you would then see Overpow go down defended and Copenhagen Wolves could then move in and maybe even start that Baron. 5 versus 4 with no teleport for ROCCAT. And then he actually walks into the jungle and ends up dying for it.
So what you're saying is he wouldn't have done that if he'd have been his mentor, huh?
Well, it's going to be tough to say. I've probably done the same, actually.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All right, well, the Wolves are going to try something a little bit different here. They're going to rush down the Baron with YoungBuck and Freeze, the rest of the members defending in the middle. They've got quite a lot of damage here. No sight.
ROCCAT should know this. There's only 2 guys sitting in the mid lane defending. Now the ulti comes in. But that's too late. The Baron is gone.
Yep, it's going to get picked up and cashed in. They're going to try to force the fight while they've got the split on Overpow. Chasing, they turn their attention to Airwaks, but he's still so tanky and they just don't connect with the skill shots they need. So Copenhagen Wolves, a little battered, a little bruised, but they get out with the Baron.
How did you just give up that Baron? You killed 1 guy. So you know there's only 4 guys. You see 2 of them sitting in mid lane defending, and you haven't seen the other 2 for quite a while. And you have no wards on the Baron itself, and yet it took ROCCAT such a long time to realize and give a 4v5 team a Baron as well. Not very good shot calling for ROCCAT, and it's been a problem for them all season long. We have a few moments of brilliance where they're making a good play, like taking a tower, trading it for, let's say, a Lost Dragon like we saw earlier. And then suddenly they just fall back in some kind of slump and give up a Baron for absolutely no reason here.
Yeah, there's really not much you can add to that. Copenhagen Wolves now, 4 of their members having that Baron, they can start pushing around the sides where they want to. They're going to keep trying to starve out the ROCCAT jungle. Soren is going to pick up the red buff, secure it rather than give a chance for a steal over to anyone from ROCCAT. They're starting to edge their way to this top side, but Overpow, Nukeduck, and Woolite are already here, and they got the wave clear going.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves with this Baron buff can just push in 2 lanes at once. Very hard to siege on this much poke and wave clear from ROCCAT side as long as they have the Corki and Lissandra there. And this is what Copenhagen Wolves is doing. Use these buffed up minions, get a few hits on the turrets every single time, and then you can slowly grind your way towards the base of ROCCAT. Just keep doing it. Every single lane pushing down for you, and then you slowly move between them. Because now comes the hard part. For ROCCAT's side, it's very easy for them to move between inhibitor and inhibitor. Short route they have to take. And that's why for Copenhagen Wolves, unless they have pressure in every single lane or dive onto ROCCAT, then it becomes very hard to actually break into the base itself. But we have to remember, turret is gone in the bottom side, so might just see a team fight for this inhibitor.
It may indeed. ROCCAT mobilizing the defenses, but are having a few things stacked against him here. Waves getting cleared out quite quick. They can start the shove in. The Wolves may like a slow path to victory, but this would be, if they start up a big fight right now, could end up a decisive one. ROCCAT not keen on letting that happen. They're going to try to poke the Wolves away from this one, but the Baron-empowered minions are here.
They're here indeed. A lot of them as well. Overpow didn't decide to go for the engage, so this should mean a lot of damage for Copenhagen Wolves.
Yep,
we'll be able to
down.
pick this one up, yeah. And
just so quickly.
Back away now. You should have a lot of gold picked up, and then you can push in mid and top lane after with the super minions already doing work.
Yeah, they don't need to fight, but Soren tried to make something happen. He flashed, didn't get much for his trouble. But Nukeduck also had to spend that summoner spell. Dragon available. There's no chance ROCCAT are going to try to contest this right now. They're moving towards middle. They need to clear the waves in the bottom. Their attention is just all over the place. And the Wolves should be able to easily take advantage.
And this game has just been the perfect example of what happens if you fall behind when you play double AD in a very poke-focused comp. Because obviously there's no tank from ROCCAT at all here. There's no front line. So as soon as they fell behind early on, we have just seen Copenhagen Wolves completely control the game, not allowing a single siege moment for ROCCAT. Objectives, Baron as well, obviously, for Copenhagen Wolves. Everything has been in their favor. Because once you fall behind with the poke comp, you suddenly don't dictate the map anymore. Woolite,
and you can't even check your own jungle anymore. Soren. Hey, we did 1, 2, 3, and 4 to pick him up. 7,000 gold, 6,500 gold, I should say, ahead of ROCCAT. But that doesn't really tell much of the story, as the Wolves have really just had the number of ROCCAT since that mid-game power spike kind of got exhausted. Now they're looking to take on some inhibitor turrets, or are they? YoungBuck bypasses that entirely, but here comes Overpow. He's got the Frozen Tomb. They got a lot of damage chunking him out. Shut down, however, and Copenhagen Wolves are beating a hasty retreat, but none of them went down.
That was such a good ulti by Overpow, going in, getting the damage onto every single one from Copenhagen Wolves while they were tanking the tower as well. Yet nobody ends up dying. Another kill for them. Didn't get the tower, so that was the important one. ROCCAT at least managed to defend something, but it should just be a matter of time. I mean, first of all, next dragon is the 5th one for the Wolves. They can wait for Baron to spawn as well before they do anything. There's really no rush. YoungBuck is insanely tanky on Maokai, and he doesn't care about an Ezreal and a Corki hitting him.
Still a fair amount of damage as well, and you can see him clearing away those.
They're all
waves.
squishy, obviously. Yeah. Even a Maokai can actually take them down.
And he's just not afraid of taking up that tower shot, even though Overpow had him locked up with the rest of the team for quite a while. There just isn't even that much damage on ROCCAT's side comparatively, just because of how far ahead the Wolves really are in this game.
Thorn Mail for Airwaks, together with the LOCCAT. So he's basically close to as strong as YoungBuck in this case. Diving on to ROCCAT. 2 minutes for this Baron here. Maybe about 4 minutes for the Dragon, 3 minutes. So the Wolves just set up around this, use your Oracle Lenses, use all these wards you have with double Sidestone and the Totem to get full control again.
You can see how scared the Wolves are, or the ROCCAT are rather, to check in to even any of these brushes. Vander popping his own Black Shield before he goes in and just wards. And this is the Wolves taking control, or continuing to have an iron grip on anywhere the map they decide to focus on.
Yeah, just keep running as 5 all the time, making sure you can get these team fights when you need them. This turret is very low, remember, from before. A few hits from Freeze should be enough to take it down if Copenhagen Wolves feel like they want to move in. But again, no reason to take a chance. Wait for Baron to spawn. Get maybe 1 or 2 free hits and that's it. Don't go for any dives. Yeah, once that's, wait for these super minions.
Once that's live, it really just forces ROCCAT out of their own base, and that's when the Wolves are going to have time to strike. But they didn't even need it because they're going to go on the tower. It's already down. Airwaks going forward. Half his health is gone, but that was a worthwhile expenditure. Soren going to tank another Mystic Shot. They're still walking it out. ROCCAT trying to get a catch on, but they just can't connect enough damage to take down a single member of the Wolves.
Has never been in a position to do anything with their comp. Super minions. The inhibitors should respawn soon. So will the Baron, and the Wolves are not moving away. Defending their pink wards as well. Basically just forcing ROCCAT to sit back and wait. In this game, it's looking nearly impossible for the Copenhagen Wolves to lose.
Yeah, they did make some mistakes earlier on. They gave chances for ROCCAT to come back, but they did not do enough to really make that comeback happen. They started to fall a little bit behind. They kept falling behind, and now the Wolves have been controlling and starving them out of everywhere. Look at Soren trying to be a little bit sneaky. He's realizing maybe that's not the best option when the team isn't around. Baron is now live, however. And the Wolves are making a beeline.
They have double pink in here. No Skull Crab here. They just started instantly. There's a ward placed now by ROCCAT. So they know it started. what can they actually do in the fight itself.
Trying to harass. Oh, they found Jankos, the Whirling Death, forcing the flash and the heal. Not a summoner heal, mind you. Just the Nidalee one. They will peel off the Baron for the time being, however. And now they're going to move forward. Vander, he's the one caught this time. Airwaks, Soren, they're going to blow him up. He eats an exhaust Overpow, moving into the middle of the team. Maybe they found something here as Airwaks goes down. YoungBuck, so tanky in the front. They've grabbed Overpow. Minions still pushing in the bottom side. All the Wolves have to do is outlast. They've got the 1-for-2. And they are walking it out.
Yeah, that was a 1-for-2, and Copenhagen was tanking the Baron at the start of the fight. He then disengaged away from it. Oh, Woolite.
Yeah, steps too far forward this time. Yeah, Nukeduck's in some trouble too. He's going to be able to arcane shift his way out of danger, but you start stacking those axes, and it really gets painful. Copenhagen Wolves moving into the middle should have no trouble grabbing the inhibitor if they want, but they're looking for Nukeduck. He has to run out of his own jungle. Tail between his legs.
Keep chasing around here. Home guard coming in from YoungBuck. Should be another inhibitor, maybe even a second one. For Copenhagen Wolves, ROCCAT not able to do anything to stop them, despite Jankos being alive.
They got a mini wave on the bottom,
Nukeduck recall now. They gotta chase for some kills here. That's the only way for them to come back. Chase for kills, then go Baron.
They're gonna certainly try, but YoungBuck's still able to tank up the front. He's not going to get hit by the Dark Binding. Dragon's gonna be live in about 40 seconds here. They're still chasing for this one. The Wolves trying to back away. They should have the speed to do it. Spear's not going to hit. YoungBuck and Unlimited still running their way out of danger. Meanwhile, Soren's distracted long enough to take a blue pill.
ROCCAT might still try and rush the Baron itself because Copenhagen Wolves have to recall first and then run all the way down. Remember, no teleport. It is an extremely risky play, and I'm not sure they can pull it off.
They're telegraphing
again,
this.
I feel like this is the only thing they can do.
Well, they're going to try right now, or at least try to set up some bait maybe. There we go. They are grouped as 5. But Copenhagen Wolves, they know this is happening. Dark Binding going to fly. Here comes the Claw. Overpow, he's found Unlimited. He hits his Zhonya's. Maybe they can find something as Airwaks comes a little too late. There's Overpow going down, however. Soren coming up with a big kill. A double goes to Jankos in the meanwhile, though. But they still manage to find an answer back as Nukeduck goes down. Freeze cashes in on some more stacks. 406 on the Draven.
It is a 2-for-2 here, but the Wolves, they're still very, very healthy. 5th Dragon, remember from before.
Oh, he wants more.
You can get a kitty cat as well.
Oh, my goodness. That was a big axe. Another kill going over to Freeze. Woolite can't even secure his own red buff. And YoungBuck says thank you very much. Now they've not got the 2 inhibitors in the middle and the bottom. They can start pushing in here. It's only Woolite and Vander to defend. This is looking so dire for ROCCAT.
Yeah, and YoungBuck again stopping the recalls, just chasing after Woolite and Vander. This should be the game for Copenhagen Wolves.
Not a chance for them to get back and defend. YoungBuck even picks up Woolite as Nexus towers falling down so quickly. This is going to be it. GG Copenhagen Wolves in under their usual time. Take down the Nexus and take down Team ROCCAT.
And honestly, ROCCAT here is not a bad comp they're running, but it's a comp where you can't make any mistakes because you cannot fall behind. If you do, like we saw in this game, well then the Copenhagen Wolves could just engage onto you over and over. Always make sure you could never get any poke set up. Of course, very happy.
You can definitely tell. Smiles all around. They get the big hug going in a circle as they walk over to shake hands with the defeated. And for ROCCAT here, they've shown some glimmers of trying to mix it up, of being innovative, but they just don't have the drive when it fails, and they're a little bit too blind in that aggression.
Yeah, overall, honestly, it feels like for ROCCAT, first of all, the shot calling isn't really there. And also, it looks like some of the players are somewhat confused to what the tactic actually is going to be. That's why you saw them early on. Suddenly Vander would just roam into the jungle of Copenhagen Wolves and look for a random fight.
See the coach?
Dentist
is very, very happy. He's got an even bigger smile than the players there.
Yeah.
You know, there's good reason for that one. Coming up with another win, they push themselves further up the standings, but on ROCCAT's side, questions all around.
And no real easy answers. That's the main problem, because they keep losing. They change up the playstyle a little bit, lose anyway. They had some more aggressive plays here, but this game was not the right game to do it in, not the right way to pick the fights. And suddenly again, you just keep having more and more problems, and it becomes so hard for you to pull out of, your slump and realize, okay, this is what we have to change. There's a mid-game focused poke comp, wrong team fights as we mentioned so many times already. The Wolves took full advantage of it, and honestly, there's so many problems for ROCCAT, especially in terms of the shot calling and knowing how to use your strategy. For them to go back and look at that and just say, oh, it's fixed for next week. It doesn't happen. It takes a long, long time for everyone to be on the same page, to find to find out who should be the shot caller or how he should improve. Because there were so many times in this game where they made the wrong move and got punished for it. They had a few good ones. Again, the top lane turret they took down, and then suddenly they just gave up a parent to 4 guys, even though Soren was dead. And you're like, what's going on here? There simply just too many mistakes for them, and that's why, despite us thinking they were going to be one of the better teams this split, they're not. They keep falling further and further down. Copenhagen Wolves, H2K, Unicorns of Love, all teams we would expect to be lower than ROCCAT are now above them, and actually even creating quite a lot of distance here to ROCCAT, who's now in the bottom half of the standings as well. So really, really a lot of problems for them. Yeah, they fall down to 3 and 6, and that's really just not where you expect it to be, given what people had said about them coming into the split, given their own expectations and their own confidence, really. But on the other hand, the Wolves, you know, before they started on their big win streak, we heard from Dentis, he was saying, hey, you know, we're confident. Remember that interview when he had talking about taking down the Unicorns of Love? They were really, really expecting to go on a big upturn, and man, have they ever. Really, really impressive performance from them. Yeah. 5 and 4 now on the split at the halfway point. And also, I mean, stand-up performances. We talked about how Soren had come up really big, mostly on Cassiopeia, sometimes on Kasten. This time, definitely not bad on that Ahri. 5, 2, and 8. Freeze comes up massive, unkilled on the Draven, and you could see how much he was really just stacking on the damage. You can just see how Copenhagen Wolves are getting better every single game, and also playing their comp and how to punish the other team. And that's really what's paying off for them, as every time ROCCAT picked the wrong team fight in the early game, Wolves were there with teleports, like 5 guys ready, cash drain on it with the Draven from Freeze. Suddenly he had an Infinity Edge very early as well, and the game was basically over because there's nothing left for ROCCAT to do. Could never really use the mid game, and that's just well played by the Copenhagen Wolves, and I'm happy to see them do so well. Yeah, not to mention they managed to beat their average win time by about 7 minutes. Yeah, so that's a bonus too. That's always a good thing. Now, for a look into the Wolves.